Hey everybody, Paul Turner here from thediscipleproject.net, here with another episode for you. And today's going to be a little special. I'm going to be answering a question today that I got over in my community section on this channel. You can always visit over in the tab section there in the community section and leave a question if you want to. But today I'm going to answer Josiah Rose's question, which is, how do you reach kids at their schools? Well, you know what? I just had an interesting conversation with Jim Hancock on my podcast, talking about schools and the fact that schools are closed systems, right? And so they have their own way of doing things within a school. And when I was younger, I thought to myself, I'm going to go walk on the campus, and I'm going to, I was enthusiasm, and I was passionate and zealous and all those kind of things. What I did not understand at that younger age as a youth worker is that schools have their own way of doing things, and schools don't necessarily want me there. I thought myself as an asset, right? I thought myself, well, surely I'm going to walk on campus and they will love me. And, that's the delusional part, right? But what I understood then is that this is a closed system. And even more so today, that they have with safety issues and things like this. And what Jim talked about on the podcast, he talked about the fact that, listen, not every church, not every youth worker is necessarily, they don't know who everybody is, right? They don't know who the youth worker down at that church is. They don't know. And so rather than, welcome them all in, they have to be suspect just like anything else, because they are dealing with the safety of other people's kids. Schools don't want strangers, right, kind of roaming around, milling around without any kind of supervision or, with intent or purpose. And in doing this, and as I've grown older and figured that part out, your question, Josiah, is the fact that, well, how do I reach kids at school? And really, in reality, in my situation, now, if you're watching this, your situation may be very, very different. You may be very welcome at your school. You may be very, all those things. But in my area, in my school, I am not a necessity. I am not a valued asset necessarily. And I recently communicated that at a community meeting where I said I would be happy to come in as a youth worker, and I can do other things besides preach. I can that I have other skills. I could teach a class on how to use Final Cut Pro. I could teach a class on how to do YouTube videos. I could, help, different aspects and things like that. But even in those areas, once again, schools are closed systems, and they try to protect the culture of that system, which, by the way, I have zero problem with now. When I was, 20-something years old, I had an issue with it. Today, I don't really have an issue with it anymore, because I understand it completely. We would not want random people coming into our youth ministry, because we have a culture that we've set up, and these kind of unknown quantities that are kind of wandering around. So, hey, can I come to your youth group? Because I think I'd be valuable and an ass. I mean, we do that with volunteers, right? We screen them. We do all these things to see if they're going to be of value or whether they're going to be troublemakers. And sadly, a lot of youth workers go into a school system believing it is their right to be there, versus saying, how do I become a servant of this school? So to answer your question, Josiah, I'm going to give you some tips here in just a second. The answer to your question is, how do I reach kids at school, is this. I don't think the answer is, this is how you do this. In other words, you don't reach kids at school. You equip kids to go to school, to go into their mission field. And that's been my mentality, is that, listen, if God wanted me on that campus, God would open a door to that campus, because I have made myself available. I have made phone calls. I have built a reputation, a good reputation in our community over 8 years. And I'm certainly available if they need me. But I do not take the position that I think I need to be on the campus to make a difference in the lives of students. So here's some recommendations for all of us here that would be good for us to remember. Number one, I would say, find a way to serve your school. What are the needs that your school has? And this can be super simple. I know youth workers who they based on their skill level, based on what they can do. I have friends that are youth workers who work on the football team. They're assistant coaches. They have a background in football, and so they know the coaches, or they graduated from that high school and they already know teachers there. So that makes it a plus for them. So I would take whatever skill level you have and make sure that the administration of your school knows that you have this skill set, that you're able to serve. Maybe your thing is drama or set design or things like that, where you can help independently, where you don't have to show up in a school day to say, I'm going to show up to the school to reach kids. Listen, if we're good servants, if we're good stewards of the community that we live in, we can make an impact. We can make an impact upon kids who don't know us or who don't come to our youth group. If we're simply good citizens, if we're simply good people who are in the community who want to do right, not just to go to fill up our youth ministries with a bunch of other kids, it's really a matter of being a servant in that case. And I would say that's probably the greatest way we can do that. Another way you can do this is get involved with, if there are Bible study, Bible clubs that happen first thing in the morning, things like First Priority or Youth Alive. You can look those up online. Descriptions will be down there. Links to the descriptions will be down there. And you can say, well, listen, I want to help facilitate. I want to help with doing this. I've had the honor of doing this at our middle school here, and work with a friend of mine who has been doing it for several years. And so I help along with that. I'm just a helper. I'm not there to show anything, prove anything. I'm just there to facilitate students leading their Bible clubs. And that's it. And if there's other ways I can help the school or other ways I can do that, I make that known to the teachers. I ask teachers, what kind of supplies do you need? How can we help serve? And if there's an opportunity to do that, well, then I certainly want to be able to do that. But I come from the servant position. I don't come from the authoritative position. I don't come from the I have a right position. I come from the position of I'm here to serve the community. I'm here to serve the school in any way that I can, if that's what they need me to do. If they don't need me to do anything, then I will simply continue to equip schools, equip students to go into their schools, and I will pray for that school and pray for the teachers and the administration, all those kind of things. So I think we have to come from the position, not of authority or from rights, but from the attitude of being a servant. Because I think that's the quickest way to establish yourself in a community, that you are a servant. And even if it's little things like on Teacher Appreciation Day, well, you and your church get together and say, hey, we're going to deliver donuts on Teacher Appreciation Day, and pack up a bunch of that. Or you can, something else I've done in the past is I've told the coaches that if you would like to have your pre-game lunch at our church, you can do that. And I've hosted some of those. There are ways that you can assist. There are ways that you can simply shake hands. Maybe kids get to know your face, things like that. And I've done simple things like just simply going, and I've done, the lunchroom duty, where I stand at a certain place and I simply watch and make sure there's not trouble or anything like that. And that's, that's maybe less than what most youth workers want to do. They just don't want to stand there. They want to engage and things like that. But listen, if you do that consistently, you're that guy. You're that guy that stands over there, does his role or his responsibility for the 1 or 2 or 3 lunches that you're there. And maybe for one of the lunches, you actually sit and eat with your students and hang with them for a minute. But once again, it all comes from the position of what can I do for you, not what you can do for me. The school system and public schools don't owe us anything. And so we have to come from the perspective, once again, of being a servant to those schools. So, Josiah, I hope I answered your question. I hope you gave you a few good ideas. I would like to know your answers. What would you advise Josiah here? Maybe you have some ideas. Maybe you do something with your school that's like ridiculous. It's amazing. What do you do with your school? How do you reach out and be a servant to your school? Give Josiah some answers down there in the comments below. If you're brand spanking new, I want to thank you guys for coming and being a part of the channel today, watching this video. If you're not a subscriber yet, please hit that subscribe button at the end of this video or down below there, and be a part of the community here, and let me know what your thoughts are. Also, if you're a regular, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys being here, leaving your comments, your questions, all that kind of good stuff. Hit the thumbs up button. Let us know you like the video and you want more of them, and I will catch you guys in the next video. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.